We are in a tie match at the drop. Double gen pop to avoid the deadlock. They do go down. There is a haste status effect. They did be careful here. The hatch is going to spawn momentarily. Dead Hard could get them the distance to get it too. Shot.
Really smart play on the ace. Oh my god, getting shot through the window.
No longer have distortion, and they are going to teleport here. I think they get there in time. Yes!
Oh, the grab. Yes!
Oh my god!
That is disappointing. This is be a 4-man out because.
Yeah, but they will be able to block this. Yo, getting caught on that. Ace coming with the body block. Oh, they were here.
All right, and we are back. And this time, I am joined by Jukebox. How you doing today, friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Gilt?
Pretty good, pretty good. Cannot complain. Having a good old time. Been following Eternal all today, so seeing a whole lot of impressive DBD plays, to say the least. And hopefully you are excited to see some here today, as we are about to jump right on in.
Yeah, very excited to see what Eternal can do. They haven't played in COTF before, have they?
As a team, they have not. Individuals from Eternal have played, but them as a team, they have not. So it's going to be very interesting, to say the least. And so far, seen a lot of really fun and interesting plays. And we are going to be starting off things strong with Toby's Nurse.
Yeah, it's going to be taking first chase here is Bubba over here on the ace, over on the corner of the map, taking far away from gens, as you should, versus the Nurse. And the first hits coming in with Sloppy Butcher applied, which is a very common pick on Nurse, I must say.
Yeah, it's definitely a very common pick as far as our general rule set is concerned. We do allow Sloppy Butcher. Come Group A, though, we have, for lack of a better term, nerfed Nurse quite a bit.
Yeah, I saw that you're going to be banning any of the M1 applying perks on her, is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. You know, in my opinion, everyone has their own thoughts of, like, how they would want Nurse to be nerfed, and I think the common sense change for me is always going to be just make it so that her blink strikes count as an M2. So that means any exhaustion perks, that means Sloppy Butcher, that means Save the Best for Last, Unrelenting even, you know, all would apply to Nurse's blink strike. But we do see Bubbo here on the hook and the Nurse in a very good position using the middle here to see their domain.
Yeah, they got a nice little choke point here with Sanctum of Wrath having a 3-gen on both sides of the map. As long as you hook someone fast, you can just kind of pick whichever side and it doesn't really matter. Although Zaka is able to manage and get the the save in here with the endurance status effect. Bubbo's taking the hit, and it looks like Toby's going to opt to tunnel, as we see most often on killers right now. Especially on Nurse, putting the situation to a 1v3 is a lot of pressure on the survivors.
Yeah, absolutely. Though Toby getting a bit tripped up here, hearing the moans of pain from the Nia, losing the ace there for but a moment, and we are here once again. Nurse getting the M1 down. See, you know, that applying Sloppy Butcher, that's perfectly fine and makes sense to me.
I mean, absolutely. Although we have a decisive strike coming in, only 3 seconds in place, but we have a beam to assist this. Nurse cannot blink as long as the beam is shining on her. Maybe she can blink after turning the corner. It looks like that's exactly what's going to happen, and Bubba's going to go down once again. But that was quite a lot of time waste, and we might be seeing another generator finish as well. There it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Eternal wasting no time at all, to say the least. And Nurse trying to get to another central hook, though opting to have to go here instead. And we do see a damage generator. That there is a Scourge Choke Pain Resonance, and that gen don't have a lot of progression for the most progressed gen.
Yeah, especially considering Bubbo is on second stage already with no gens progressed. This is a very strong position to be in if you're the Nurse.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see scratch marks there in the middle building, and we do see a blink going back, though actually holding it and just going to wait here in main, able to see the hook and 2 gens on top of which, once again, a very, very strong position for this nurse to be in.
Yeah, she has a 3-gen still standing here and catches someone coming in for the save. Might be able to injure as well. Although it looks like they're going to be playing grab game instead, trying to prevent them from getting the save, as Bubbo is pretty close to dying in this situation. And as I said earlier, 1v3 is the strongest position you can be in as a nurse. Just completely hold them back. Yeah. So much pressure for the survivors to deal with.
Absolutely, and saw the nurse doing something that I've seen a lot of killers do, using the hitboxes to completely block the survivor from even beginning the animation of unhooking. I have a genuine question for both you and as well as the general, like, comp scene. Is that a healthy thing for Dead by Daylight? Do you think that maybe we need to have, petition behavior to have survivor hitboxes, or rather killer hitboxes, be disabled around a hook like that?
I don't personally have an issue with it because there aren't that many hooks, if any hooks in the game, where you can completely block the save from happening. It's more of like a mind game, if anything, but 3-gen gets broken here. That's pretty impressive from our survivors, especially considering a death being in play here. Now it's a 1v3 at 1 generator, which is a lot more doable, although Sloppy Butcher applied on 2 different survivors right now is a lot of pressure. But going back to what you were saying, Gil, I think that body blocking hooks is perfectly fine in the current state of the game, as long as you can't completely block the hook from getting saved. Kind of like back in old DBD when you could only save from the front, so face camping could prevent an unhook altogether. That wasn't okay, but I think as long as it's possible, I don't really have an issue with it.
All right. It's interesting to kind of get that perspective, because it does require in some cases survivors having to send 2 survivors to get those unhooks. But I will say, that's why we have banned Thompson House as well as RPD West Wing, as both of them have hooks that are completely blockable by the killer camping. So, we have definitely kept an eye on that, to say the least. But these survivors doing a really good job staying out of line of sight here. And Nurse trying to figure out where to go on this 2-1 split and if they're able to protect these gens effectively.
Yeah, we saw the reset coming in for 1 survivor, which could have either been, Inner, the med kit, or another survivor healing them. Although Zaka is still being injured here for a little while, it might have been a self-heal, so that does not give Toby a lot of information on where these survivors might be. He can't exactly look for like a reset position, unless he can catch Zaka out of position somewhere, although still not able to find any survivors, but he does have sight of all of the generators, and even though it's not the tightest 3-gen, it still is sort of a 3-gen for a nurse.
Yeah, this is one of the few times where you see Nurse actually, like, sitting still for quite a while there. I do want to note that gen there is highlighted in yellow. It has been highlighted for more than 60 seconds, suggesting that it is indeed Eruption and not Colubrine.
Interesting pick there. Yeah, with Colubrine Eruption being a banned combination now in this season of COTF, I'm interested to see what killers do to replace that.
Yeah, I know personally for me, it definitely has moved to Colubrine Scourge Hook, not Colubrine Scourge Hook. It's been replaced with Eruption Scourge Hook, which we see here. But Nia trying to get out of dodge with that sprint burst, going to the Z-wall, going to the corner as well, and will end up going down as we do see Eruption regress the gen at main by 10%.
Yeah, really unfortunate finding the injured survivor out of all 3 of them, getting sent to that corner gen. They probably thought that maybe she could get there safely without getting seen, but Toby saw her from main building and was able to go over to her and is now going to punish that misplay, and now has a nice hook in the corner of the map, which corner hooks are very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. However, we do see the deliverance immediately, and we do know that Decisive Strike is out of the game. Nia trying to go to the corner here, trying to avoid the hit, will dodge it initially, as Nurse will have to fatigue out.
Yeah, it looks like Eternal opted to put their Deli player as bait of sorts in the corner here, so maybe they can double the main gen perhaps to try to get that done as the distraction was in play, because Toby couldn't just let her Deli and hop on that gen right away. She had to go back, and that's exactly what happens. The last generator is going to pop for that. 5 stages going into endgame. Eternal played absolutely insane up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, Nurse has always been a situation of how fast can you get to the 4K, but Eternal doing an amazing job playing around this S-tier killer. However, these Exegates in some precarious position as the Nurse is able to keep an eye on not only the hook, but also the Exegates as well.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like it may be a one-out situation if they put one person on each gate, although weird things have happened and they might be able to pull Zuck out of this as well. It all depends on how these survivors play it, although Nightlight getting found here by Toby. First hit coming in for this chase, and will the killer opt to drop or commit to this chase? It looks like they're committing for their fresh hook, getting as many points as possible.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense to go for this hook than to contest the 1 point that Nia holds. However, we do see the Adam making quite a lot of distance, and we see a potential body block from the Claudia as well, unable to get in between the Nurse and the Adam, however.
Yeah, body blocking Nurse is really, really risky and really hard without a flashlight in play. It's very hard to assist your teammates in this situation, but all in all, it looks like this is going to be a 2-out for Eternal, which is quite an impressive result considering the circumstances. Nurse on a map that has a solid 3-gen is usually a 4K1 situation, so I would say Eternal played that very well. And Toby was able to match their pressure a bit and take some stages out of this game as well. Although it looks like Nightlight kind of vanishing here, which could be potentially bad, but Toby does find him.
And I believe Claudette did use the Firecracker earlier, so no risk of a flashlight in play. And that there will be the 2K8 hook here for Ruby Wolves. Honestly, though, against Eternal, with their reputation, I would say that was a very good result in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Eternal being, you know, one of if not the top team in comp DBD right now, getting 8 stages versus them is very impressive.
Indeed, indeed. But that being said, that there will end trial number 1, and we are going to get things set up for the next trial. This time, it will be Eternal's Killer against Ruby Wolves Survivor Team. And I imagine we're going to see another Nurse, but what are your guesses? We have Nurse, Spirit, and Blight available to us on Sanctum of Wrath.
Oh, considering the 8 stages that the Nurse was able to get, I would say any of these killers is actually viable in this situation. Although playing it safe, I would probably go with the Nurse.
It would definitely make the most sense. But with that being said, we are going to get set up for this next trial. But before we do, I want to remind everyone here today that you, yes, you, the viewers, are our sponsors. So that as they watch all the bits they tip, all the subs that you buy during September, all go to supporting Champs of the Fog and our prize pools for both Group A and Group B of Season 5. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit. All right, and we are back. This time with Eternals Killer versus Ruby Wolves Survivor Team. The score is quite close indeed. Only 3 points are between these two, and so it is very much anyone's game. What are your thoughts here as we see Nightlight coming in for the final trial of this match?
I mean, Nightlight has been around for a long time. His nurse is very dangerous and has showed that multiple times in multiple tournaments. But I will say, Ruby Wolves put up a very good fight last round versus Eternal, so if they can play just as well as they did on the nurse, on their Survivor side, I think they can maybe make something work here. I think it's anyone's game at this point. Even with such a tough win condition on Survivor side, mistakes can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, Nightlight definitely, their reputation precedes themselves, as I believe they have officially won their 50th tournament in DBD comp.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I was very happy to see that. I'm very proud of Nightlight and all that he's accomplished. He's put in a lot of work over the years, and I think it really shows with how many wins he has. He's a very excellent player. Yeah,
absolutely. We see that here as Dwight will end up on the hook, and we do see that damage generator score event there, suggesting a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance in play.
Yeah, so far matching 2 of the perks that the last killer was running, the Pain Resonance and Corrupt, which are both very, very strong perks, and also not running the Sloppy Butcher this game, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, no Sloppy Butcher, you know, so far as the perks are concerned, and you all will learn more about them, but nothing that would be afflicted on an M1 hit. And we see Nightlight, kind of what we're seeing before from Toby, kind of manage the center area, trying to move Dwight to second stage and potentially to death, kind of keeping his 3-gen. But we saw some scratch marks there. I'm not sure if Nightlight caught it.
Yeah, there could be a survivor sneaking around somewhere, and Nightlight does not... Maybe caught it, maybe just securing second here. It looks like that's probably what he's going to end up doing. I mean, he has a hook in his 3-gen. If you count main building, that is a 4-gen as well, with Nurse being able to travel so quickly. So this is just a very strong position to be in if you're a Nurse. Potentially 2 gens popping here for the second stage, but all in all, very worth it on the killer side.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that there haven't been gens already popping is kind of surprising. That's a full 60 seconds. It would suggest that 2 survivors are on 2 separate gens at the very least. With a third one, as we saw, kind of sneaking around there. We do see that gen being worked on, but looks like Nightlight will go back for the unhook and potentially the tunnel out on Dan.
Yeah, no, ooh, very excellent firecracker there, blinding and saving a little bit of distance, maybe losing them for a hot second here, but unfortunately no for the people coming in play for Dan's protection here, and so realistically this could be a pretty short chase, although it looks like, oh no, Nightlight found Dan again. It's going to be probably a quick chase considering it's the corner of the map. Ooh, getting grabbed off of the pallet. Very excellent play there from Nightlight, and with no DS in play, that's going to be the first kill at 4 generators. That is very unfortunate for Ruby Wolves.
I also do want to point out we see Deadlock there in the distance and another Scourge Hook Pain Resonance as well. So Deadlock, one of their 4 perks. We now know of Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, Deadlock, and Corrupt Intervention. Deadlock, one of those perks that we did reintroduce into Season 5, as I hold the opinion that there is counterplay to it in comparison to some others, but the gen does not have a lot of progression, which is a bit of a scary thought here for the Survivor team.
Yeah, the Survivor's going to have to work extra hard to crank out these generators, especially in a 1v3 situation. As mentioned last time, is not the situation we want to be in. Eternal, when they entered their 1v3, was at 1 generator, but now Ruby Wolves at 4 generators remaining is not the position you wanted to be in going into this game.
Yeah, we see 2 separate gens, 50% apiece. So in the current Scourge Hook meta, in the current, you know, Call O'Brien meta, is it better to have a, I mean, in my opinion, I'm always looking at a 2-1-1 scenario. 2 people on 1 gen, 1 person on another, and a 4th person in chase. You know, do you think that's necessary other than split pressure, kind of what we're seeing here?
Yeah, I think that versus Nurse especially, we've seen a lot of that in a lot of different tournaments. Doubling gens is really key, considering her chases are so fast, and dying in corner is always counterplay to that, but in a rule set that allows Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, for example, you definitely need to be doubling gens, because whenever those downs come in, not only will the chases be fast, but also the regression will work cross-map. So you really need to be on top of your gens, and your chases need to be a little bit longer than they normally would have to be. So yes, I think doubling gens is absolutely crucial against Nurse.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and we do see that Call of Brine information on the other side of the map. However, Nurse is determined to find the survivor over here, not allowing them to break the 3-gen. Finally saying, okay, I'll go, and will end up kicking the gen. But that could be huge for this survivor team as they were unable to find them.
Yeah, they're actually doing an excellent job stealthing here, which is exactly what they need to do, although Nightlight does have information that there's a survivor on this faraway gen over here because of the Call of Brine information that was given. Finding a survivor out here in Hatch, and this is corner of the map too, which is very zonable, so very curious to see how Adam is going to get out of this sticky situation, especially with the Nurse blinking right on top of him. First hit coming in with 1 blink, which means it'll recharge immediately. This could be a very potential fast chase here, and here comes the 2-tap, 1 blink needed for each hit there. Nightlight showing his dominance in the situation.
Yeah, Nightlight, once again, just the 1-2 tap back-to-back, and we do see there Deadlock activating once again on the activation of Gen. Hitting Adam's Gen, though, actually huge for this Survivor team, as they may be able to get the Gen in that far corner.
Yeah, it looks like they are on it with the Call of Brine notifications coming in. It's just a question of whether Nightlight can get there in time with the Deliverance coming into play too, unless that was a renewal. I'm pretty sure that was a Deliverance. That means that there's a lack of pressure here from Nightlight now, so the Survivor's actually bringing it back a little bit and receiving some of that pressure back, and they can get on generators now and maybe pressure Nightlight a little bit more than they were before.
Yeah, but once again, Nightlight having to do the search and will find the Nia this time round. Did a fantastic job last time, but Nightlight using their prior knowledge to their advantage. However, losing the Nia there for just a moment, and I'm thinking that the Adam as well as the Ace will be completing that gen over there in Shack in just a few moments.
Yeah, it looks like there's a failed skill check on this generator over here, meaning they actually are split up on gens right now, which means they're pretty confident they can finish these before the Pain Resonance hook comes in. Looks like Nightlight's opting to instantly pick up and probably go for a Scourge hook here, so we'll have to see if these generators can pop in time.
Yeah, they're looking around, but that there will be the Shack gen completed and trying to get to this hook as soon as possible. However, it is going to be in the middle of their 3-gen, so a very, very strong hook indeed.
Yeah, not going to be a Scourge hook, and that gen on the other side of the map is going to get finished, but that means that they still have a 4-gen to deal with a hook in the middle, and this is where things get really tricky for the Survivors.
Yeah, it's going to be a very slow and steady game here. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to need to somehow take the chase away from these gens and be able to make it far enough away to where Nightlight feels like they have to give up the chase, and that's going to be very difficult to do.
Yeah, especially with a win condition hanging over your head of needing to get the 7 stages against a Nurse in this situation is very tricky, considering that Nightlight can camp this to get just to that 7-stage mark, and then it'll be a 1v2 situation. And with the hook in the 4-gen and Call of Brine being a perk in play here, these Survivors are going to have to play out of their mind to recover from this amount of pressure.
Absolutely, but Ruby Will is a pretty good team, well-seasoned players indeed. It's definitely not outside the realm of possibility, but Neo will be moving to 2nd stage. We see that gen, with as much progression as it had, still regressing to the legs of Call of Brine.
Yeah, going 2nd stage here, meaning that she's only 1 stage away from dying. A full minute on her hook timer remaining. Someone needs to sneak in there and get that save, or else you're going to be in a 1v2, which is nearly impossible to counter, and it looks like finding the Adam on top of main, but opting not to chase him as he's looking for someone going for the rescue, because he knows that is the most crucial thing the Survivors need to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, they saw Ace earlier trying to sneak by, and sure enough, there is the Ace, a blink right where they needed. This will be the 1-for-1 trade, though, and it looks like Nightlight will go for the tunnel out, as Nia is going to desperately try and make it to the other side of the map.
Yeah, avoiding the whiff here, no endurance status effect needed there, as Nia's going to be taking distance as far from the gens as possible, although Toby being on the ground here means that Saucy has to go and pick him up, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen, but now no one is on generators right now, so unless Nia can go reset or hop on a generator right now, there's a lot of time waste for our Survivors as Nightlight is putting on the pressure. No sloppy butcher needed for these tags.
Yeah, we do see the Neo with the heal. Adam going to be taking the distance that they need to get away, and Ace will be put back up on the hook. And it, once again, proves not to be a Scourge hook, so they do not get that free regression. However, with it being such a central hook to their 4-gen, I just don't see a way for these Survivors to get these gens completed.
Yeah, especially with their win condition hanging over their head. As said earlier, they are now at 7 stages, so they have to be really careful how they play this out. They need to get the save and give no more stages, and still pop the 4-gen. That is a tough, tough situation to be in. Looks like they actually managed to get the reset off now, but Nightlight probably knows where they were resetting on the other side of the map, so can just hold the choke points here and make sure no one gets past and just secure the struggle phase on Toby, which is exactly what it looks like he's doing, finding the Nia here, and Nia is on death hook, tagging and leaving, just protecting his 4-gen.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense here. If, for instance, Nightlight is able to get either Adam or Ace to die here, that there will secure victory for Eternal, and they will get their 3-0 undefeated victory and invitation to Group A. And with Adam going back up on hook here, I do think this might just be over.
Yeah, Nightlight showing a phenomenal and dominant performance, and Ruby Wolves not out of the woods yet. They still could manage to pop at least one more generator, which I would consider a victory, honestly, considering the circumstances. I think them popping a generator would be a big deal for them, so hopefully that they can meet that condition there, because I think that'd be pretty cool to see. Looks like they're going to be resetting again, and Nightlight yet again in the same situation, having a hook in the 4-gen and knowing maybe where the reset is, checking inside the 4-gen for the reset this time.
Yeah, thinking maybe there might be an inner healing in play there. Checking the lockers. We do see Nia going for the unhook on Adam. They will be able to successfully get it. The question is, will they be able to get to the other side of the map before the nurse ends up right on them, as that was a 1 blink hit. Here comes the second one. Adam with the double back and the whiff from Nightlight.
Excellent play here from our Adam, completely avoiding. That was some expert maneuvering, and he actually manages to make it to the other side of the map, which is going to give time on the generator. So I gotta say that was probably the MVP play here of this game, as that was a lot of time wasted, dying on the complete opposite end of the map. Nightlight going in and hooking yet again on this Adam, and needing to go all the way back now to his 4-gen.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, the gens have little to no progression. Colubrine made sure of that, so unfortunately, I do not believe these survivors will be able to complete a gen, but maybe get enough progress to really get Nightlight's attention into one area. And sure enough, there is some progress on this gen. The question is, will they find the Ace or the Nia?
Yeah, finding the ace here would be really bad for Ruby Wolves, and that's exactly what happened. A little bit of nodders before the finish there. Both teams know what's up, and that's going to be Ace going down, meaning that Nia is going to be last one left, as Ace is on death hook, correct?
I believe Ace is on death hook. The question is, will they be able to get to this hook in time? Ace found themselves in actually a pretty advantageous position here, and they will just barely get to the hook in time.
Yeah, and oh, he's on second hook, which means no hatch in play yet. Nia most likely just going to stealth for hatch here, trying to get as many points as they can, as a generator is going to be impossible to finish at this point. Just have to see if Nightlight wants to prevent that hatch or just let her have it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they have met the win condition, and so there's not much that they need to do. Toby, suicide and on hook, however. Nightlight seeing the writing on the wall, and Nia might be primed and ready for that hatch. If so, I think she'll get there in time.
Yeah, Nurse has to fatigue here, although Nia not
nowhere
here
to be seen
on the hatch. Yeah. Nightlight looking at where his gates are before he closes hatch and sees that they are both on the same side, so even if Nia is waiting over here and gets on it right away, she still won't be able to do it, so we might be seeing a no-light play come in, trying to get the exit gate open for that out.
Yeah, but that's going to be difficult indeed, as there's a lot of line of sight here for the nurse to play with, and I think this will spell the end, as EGC will claim the Nia.
Yep, Nia just doing a great job stealthing here, trying to find their way on the gate in this situation. As you said, the LOS here is nearly impossible, and now Nightlight finding the perfect spot in the building here, able to see both exit gates so clearly just from one position with a blink held. There is not a lot that this Nia can do. Nightlight seeing off in the distance and making his way over to this exit gate, looking around, and finds the Nia for the last chase of the game.
And the last chase of qualifier number 2. we saw Misery make their way to Group A yesterday, and today it is Eternal's turn. So we officially have Eternal, Misery, Millennium, and I'm trying to remember who second place was. Petroleum, yeah.
Petroleum.
Petroleum, Millennium, Eternal, and Misery in Group A.
Yes, congratulations to all those teams. You guys are putting up excellent work here in the qualifiers.
Indeed, indeed. But that being said, that there will be the end of qualifier number 2 for Season 5 of Champions of the Fog. And before we go, Juke, thank you much for joining me here today. The matches went by quick on both sides, to say the least, but I appreciate being here nonetheless. Hopefully you had a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I could make this match. It's always fun seeing that these two teams play.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be seeing a lot more of both teams, I'm sure. But with that being said, I am your Commissioner, Giltspire. Appreciate y'all being here today. We'll be live again next Saturday for qualifier number 3 at 12 p.m. CST. So make sure to be here. And with that being said, Juke, do you have any last words before we sign off for the day?
Yeah, if you ever want to catch me streaming or hang out or whatever, you can catch me on Jukebox DBD on Twitch. And also, just want to say that I will be playing in the qualifiers myself next weekend. So hope I can see you guys in the chat cheering us on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, with that being said, we will see you then. Bye-bye!